WorldCom Edu. Elite Children's Classics.
The Sleeping Beauty. Long, long ago, there lived a lonely king and queen. More than anything in the world, they wished to have a child. Day after day, month after month, year after year, they wished, but no baby was born. One day, while the queen was bathing in a pond, a frog jumped onto a lily pad beside her. He said,
"Your wish shall come true. Next year, you will have a baby daughter."
The wish did come true, and the next year a very beautiful little girl was born. She was named Princess Briar Rose. To celebrate her birth, the king invited all of his relatives, all of his friends, and all of the people in his kingdom to a party. Wanting Briar Rose to have the finest teachers in the kingdom, the king also invited the wise women. There were 13 of these special women, and when the servants began to set the royal table, they realized there were only 12 more golden plates. As a result, the king could not invite all 13 women, but instead invite only 12. During the party, the wise women gave magical wishes to the baby girl. One gave her the gift of honesty, another the gift of great beauty, a third the gift of riches, and so on. Just as the 11th wise woman had finished her wish, the uninvited 13th woman burst into the room. She was very, very angry that she had not been invited and cried in a loud voice,
"King, to show you how angry I am, I also have a wish for your precious baby. When she becomes 15 years old, she will prick her finger on a spinner's spindle, and she will die."
Without saying another word, the angry woman left the room. Everyone was shocked, but the 12th wise woman, who had still not given her wish, began to speak. "I cannot stop this evil wish," she said, "but I can change it. Briar Rose will not die when she pricks her finger. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years. The frightened king, afraid for his daughter's life, ordered all the spindles in the kingdom to be burned. For many years, Princess Briar Rose grew in joy and beauty, and because of the 12th wise woman's good wishes, she became a charming girl whom everyone loved. On the day of Briar Rose's 15th birthday, the king and queen were away from the palace, visiting in the next village. Being alone, the young girl decided to explore the big palace. She went into rooms which she had never seen before. Coming to a strange door, Princess Briar Rose opened it and found some stairs going up to a tower. Up she went until she found another door. Turning the rusty key in the lock, the door opened. There in front of her was a little room. An old woman was sitting inside busily spinning.
"Good morning,"
said Briar Rose.
"What are you doing?"
The old woman answered, "I am spinning." Being very curious about this old woman and her unusual machine, Briar Rose reached for the spindle. The moment she touched it, the spindle pricked her finger, and the evil wish came true. Beautiful Princess Briar Rose fell down onto the old woman's bed in a deep, deep sleep. Not only Briar Rose slept, but everyone in the whole palace also fell into a deep sleep. When the king and queen returned home, they entered the great palace hall and also fell asleep immediately. The horses, dogs, birds,
(21세기) 어학 전문 출판사 월드컴이 펴낸 엘리트 영어 명작 길라잡이.
Elite English Cassette Library. The Sleeping Beauty. Long, long ago, there lived a lonely king and queen. More than anything in the world, they wished to have a child. Day after day, month after month, year after year, they wished, but no baby was born. One day, while the queen was bathing in a pond, a frog jumped onto a lily pad beside her. He said,
Your wish shall come true. Next year, you will have a baby daughter.
The wish did come true, and the next year a very beautiful little girl was born. She was named Princess Briar Rose. To celebrate her birth, the king invited all of his relatives, all of his friends, and all of the people in his kingdom to a party. Wanting Briar Rose to have the finest teachers in the kingdom, the king also invited the wise women. There were 13 of these special women, and when the servants began to set the royal table, they realized there were only 12 more golden plates. As a result, the king could not invite all 13 women, but instead invite only 12. During the party, the wise women gave magical wishes to the baby girl. One gave her the gift of honesty, another the gift of great beauty, a third the gift of riches, and so on. Just as the 11th wise woman had finished her wish, the uninvited 13th woman burst into the room. She was very, very angry that she had not been invited and cried in a loud voice,
King, to show you how angry I am, I also have a wish for your precious baby. When she becomes 15 years old, she will prick her finger on a spinner's spindle, and she will die.
Without saying another word, the angry woman left the room. Everyone was shocked, but the 12th wise woman, who had still not given her wish, began to speak. I cannot stop this evil wish, she said, but I can change it. Briar Rose will not die when she pricks her finger. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years. The frightened king, afraid for his daughter's life, ordered all the spindles in the kingdom to be burned. For many years, Princess Briar Rose grew in joy and beauty, and because of the 12th wise woman's good wishes, she became a charming girl whom everyone loved. On the day of Briar Rose's 15th birthday, the king and queen were away from the palace, visiting in the next village. Being alone, the young girl decided to explore the big palace. She went into rooms which she had never seen before. Coming to a strange door, Princess Briar Rose opened it and found some stairs going up to a tower. Up she went until she found another door. Turning the rusty key in the lock, the door opened. There in front of her was a little room. An old woman was sitting inside busily spinning.
Good morning, said Briar Rose. What are you doing?
The old woman answered, I am spinning. Being very curious about this old woman and her unusual machine, Briar Rose reached for the spindle. The moment she touched it, the spindle pricked her finger, and the evil wish came true. Beautiful Princess Briar Rose fell down onto the old woman's bed in a deep, deep sleep. Not only Briar Rose slept, but everyone in the whole palace also fell into a deep sleep. When the king and queen returned home, they entered the great palace hall and also fell asleep immediately. The horses, dogs, birds, and even the flies on the wall went to sleep. The fire that was burning in the fireplace became quiet and stopped burning. The meat that was cooking over the fire stopped cooking and became cold. The cook, who was just about to pull the hair of a young boy who was her kitchen helper because he had forgotten to do something, suddenly dropped her arms and went to sleep. Outside, the wind stopped blowing and the leaves on the trees stopped moving. Very soon after this strange happening, a thick hedge of thorns began to grow around the palace. Every year it became thicker and higher until finally the hedge completely covered the entire palace. The building could not be seen by anyone. The story of the beautiful sleeping princess continued, however, for many years. Several princes heard the story and, needing a princess for a bride, tried to cut through the dangerous thorny hedge. They found it impossible, however. The thorns caught onto their clothes and skin and held them tightly until they each died a miserable death. 100 years slowly went by. One day, a handsome prince heard an old man talking about the thorny hedge, the palace, and the lovely princess sleeping inside. The old man said that princes had tried to cut through the hedge, and all had died. The young prince said, I am not afraid. I will go and rescue Princess Briar Rose. No one could change his mind, and off he went to the palace. By this time, the evil wish, which was planned to last for 100 years, had reached its end, and the time had come for Briar Rose to wake up. As the prince came near the palace, he was amazed to see that instead of the cruel thorny hedge, which the old man had told him about, there were only lovely flowers. As he neared them, the flowers parted, making an open door for the prince to enter. When he walked inside, the flowers closed once again. In the palace yard, the prince saw the sleeping horses, dogs, and birds. When he entered the house, he saw the workers and even the flies on the wall all asleep. In the great palace hall, the prince found the king and queen fast asleep. Continuing from room to room, he at last came to the tower door. It was so quiet he could hear
21세기 어학 전문 출판사 월드컴이 펴낸 엘리트 영어 명작 길라잡이.
Elite English Cassette Library. The Sleeping Beauty. Long, long ago, there lived a lonely king and queen. More than anything in the world, they wished to have a child. Day after day, month after month, year after year, they wished, but no baby was born. One day, while the queen was bathing in a pond, a frog jumped onto a lily pad beside her. He said,
Your wish shall come true. Next year, you will have a baby daughter.
The wish did come true, and the next year a very beautiful little girl was born. She was named Princess Briar Rose. To celebrate her birth, the king invited all of his relatives, all of his friends, and all of the people in his kingdom to a party. Wanting Briar Rose to have the finest teachers in the kingdom, the king also invited the wise women. There were 13 of these special women, and when the servants began to set the royal table, they realized there were only 12 more golden plates. As a result, the king could not invite all 13 women, but instead invite only 12. During the party, the wise women gave magical wishes to the baby girl. One gave her the gift of honesty, another the gift of great beauty, a third the gift of riches, and so on. Just as the 11th wise woman had finished her wish, the uninvited 13th woman burst into the room. She was very, very angry that she had not been invited and cried in a loud voice,
King, to show you how angry I am, I also have a wish for your precious baby. When she becomes 15 years old, she will prick her finger on a spinner's spindle, and she will die.
Without saying another word, the angry woman left the room. Everyone was shocked, but the 12th wise woman, who had still not given her wish, began to speak. I cannot stop this evil wish, she said, but I can change it. Briar Rose will not die when she pricks her finger. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years. The frightened king, afraid for his daughter's life, ordered all the spindles in the kingdom to be burned. For many years, Princess Briar Rose grew in joy and beauty, and because of the 12th wise woman's good wishes, she became a charming girl whom everyone loved. On the day of Briar Rose's 15th birthday, the king and queen were away from the palace, visiting in the next village. Being alone, the young girl decided to explore the big palace. She went into rooms which she had never seen before. Coming to a strange door, Princess Briar Rose opened it. Slowly, she walked over to the bed.
Good morning, Grandmother,
she said, but there was no answer. Little Red Riding Hood opened the curtains and found her grandmother. She was lying on her pillow with her nightcap pulled down low, almost covering her eyes. How strange her grandmother looked!
Oh, Grandmother, she said, what big ears you have!
The better to hear you with, my child,
was the answer.
But, Grandmother, what big eyes you have!
She said.
The better to see you with, my dear.
But, Grandmother, what big hands you have!
Said Little Red Riding Hood.
The better to hug you with.
Oh, but Grandmother, what a big, terrible mouth you have!
Cried the little girl.
The better to eat you with.
Yelled the wolf as he jumped out of bed, grabbed Little Red Riding Hood, and swallowed her. Naturally, the wolf's stomach was very full after eating both Grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood, and he soon became sleepy. He got into the bed once again and fell asleep snoring loudly. Just then, a hunter walked by the cottage. He was a good friend of Grandmother's and thought it was very strange to hear a snoring sound coming from the windows.
He said. That is a very strange sound. I wonder if the old woman is all right. I think I will check on her.
So the hunter went into the cottage, and when he looked at the bed, he saw the sleeping wolf.
What are you doing here, you mean old wolf? I've looked and looked for you for many days,
cried the hunter. He began to get his gun to shoot the sleeping wolf. But just then, he realized that he had not seen Grandmother.
Do you suppose the wolf ate the old lady? He thought. If I hurry, maybe I can save her.
He quickly grabbed some scissors from Grandmother's sewing basket and began to cut open the snoring wolf's stomach. When he had made only 2 cuts, he saw the red velvet cape. He cut 2 more times, and the little girl jumped out.
Oh, how frightened I was!
She cried.
It was so dark inside the wolf's stomach.
A few more cuts, and out came the old woman. She was very weak and tired.
I have an idea,
said the hunter.
Quickly, gather some big stones. We will put them inside the cut in the wolf's stomach.
Little Red Riding Hood and the hunter began to gather the stones and put them inside the sleeping wolf. Just as they put in the last stone, which filled the wolf's stomach completely, he woke up. Frightened, he tried to jump out of bed. But the stones were so heavy, the bad wolf fell to the floor and died. How happy Little Red Riding Hood, the hunter, and Grandmother were. The man and the little girl danced around the room with joy. Then the hunter cut off the wolf's skin and took it home for a souvenir. Grandmother sat down at the table and ate the cake and drank the wine, which made her feel much better. And Little Red Riding Hood, watching her beloved grandmother eat and drink, thought to herself,
From this day on, I will always obey my mother. I will never, never leave the path in the forest again.
There is, however, another story about Little Red Riding Hood. It is a story about another time when she was taking some cake to her grandmother. This time, another wolf stopped the little girl as she was walking along the forest path. He was very frightening, and she was afraid. He tried and tried to get Little Red Riding Hood to leave the forest path and go into the trees with him, but she would not go. She was very afraid, and she also remembered well the terrible mistake she had made before. So she would not go with the wolf. Instead, she bravely went straight to Grandmother's house. When she arrived there, she told Grandmother about the bad wolf and how afraid she had been.
I was afraid the wolf would eat me,
she said. What a terrible wolf he is. We will shut the door so that if he comes to my house, he cannot get in, said Grandmother. A short time later, there was a knock on the door. Grandmother looked out the window and saw the wolf. The wolf did not see Grandmother, however. He said in a sweet voice,
Open the door, Grandmother. I am Little Red Riding Hood, and I have brought some cakes for you.
But Grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood did not answer, and they did not open the door. The big bad wolf slowly walked around the cottage. Once, twice, 3 times he quietly tiptoed around. He could see nor hear nothing.
What should I do?
He thought.
I want to eat that delicious-looking little girl, but I must catch her first. What should I do? I know. I'll jump up on the roof and wait. Later tonight, she will go back home, and when she walks into the dark forest, I will follow her. Then I will catch her and eat her.
Grandmother, however, was a very wise woman. She knew what evil thoughts the wolf had. Little Red Riding Hood, she said, I have an idea. In front of my cottage is a very big stone water trough. Yesterday, I boiled some sausages in this pan of water. Take the sausage water outside and pour it into the trough. Little Red Riding Hood did as her grandmother had said. She carried the sausage water out to the trough, which was already full of water. Carefully, she poured in her water. Of course, the sausage water in the trough smelled delicious. The wolf was very hungry, and he immediately looked down from the roof to see where the wonderful smell was coming from. He sniffed and looked, and sniffed and looked, until he found the water trough.
Oh, that smells good,
he said as he stretched his neck over the edge of the roof.
Maybe I could get closer and have a taste.
He stretched a little more. It was too much. He could not hold onto the roof and slipped down into the trough. The water in the trough was deep, and the wolf soon drowned. Once again, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother were very happy. Once again, they were safe from a bad wolf. Little Red Riding Hood went home through the forest to her mother, and no wolf ever bothered her again. The Bremen Town Musicians. Once upon a time, there was a man who had a donkey. The donkey had worked hard for many, many years, carrying bags of corn to the mill. But now he was getting old and weak and was not able to work. The man wondered what he should do with this old donkey that could not work. The donkey wondered also what he should do, and finally one day decided to run away.
Running away is a good idea, said the donkey. I will go to the town of Bremen and become a town musician.
He began to walk to Bremen. After a while, he found a dog lying on the road. The dog looked very tired, as if he had run very far.
What happened to you?
The donkey asked the dog.
Oh,
said the dog.
I am old and weak and cannot hunt anymore. My owner wanted to kill me, so I ran away. But now I have no food and no home.
I have a good idea,
said the donkey.
I am going to Bremen to become a town musician. Why don't you go with me and become a musician too? I can play the lute and you can play the drum.
The old dog thought it was a wonderful idea, and the two animals began to walk to Bremen. Soon they came to a cat whose face was covered with wet tears.
What's the matter, Miss Cat?
asked the donkey.
Meow, meow. I am crying because my life is in danger,
answered the sad cat.
Look how old I am. My teeth are no good, and I don't want to hurt mice anymore. Because I am no help to my owner. She wants to drown me, so I ran away. Now I have no place to go.
Why don't you go to Bremen with us and become a town musician?
said the donkey and the dog.
Oh, what a good idea,
said the cat, and the three new friends began to walk to Bremen. Soon they came to a farm. Sitting on a fence was a rooster crowing in a very loud, sad voice.
What's the matter?
asked the donkey.
Every day for many years, I have been crowing on this fence, telling my owner that the weather is good, but now something terrible has happened. Tomorrow, some very important guests are coming for dinner, and my owner has decided to make me into chicken soup. I am crowing now because it is my last chance. Oh, how terrible!
cried the three animals.
You should come to Bremen with us, Mr. Rooster. We are going to Bremen to start a new life as town musicians.
The rooster quickly agreed and the animals continued walking. That night they came to a forest. The four were tired and decided to spend the night there. The donkey and the dog lay down under a big tree. The cat slept in the tree branches. The rooster flew to the very top of the tree, where he felt safe. Before he went to sleep, he looked around in all directions. Suddenly, the rooster thought he saw a light. He called down to his friends, telling them that maybe a house was nearby.
"Why don't we go there?"
asked the donkey.
"Sleeping under this tree is not comfortable."
The dog agreed immediately because he was hungry and wanted some bones to eat. Together, they walked towards the light. When they arrived at the house, the donkey went up to the window and looked in. There was a group of robbers sitting around a table.
What do you see?
asked the rooster.
"I see some happy robbers sitting around a table, eating delicious food and drinking wine,"
answered the donkey.
Oh, how we wish we could join them,
thought the four hungry and tired animals.
"Let's think of a plan to frighten the robbers away."
They thought and finally decided that the donkey should stand with his front feet on the window ledge. The dog should jump up on the donkey's back. The cat should climb along the dog's back, and the rooster should fly up and sit on the cat's head. They all climbed on top of each other, and they began to sing. They sang and sang, making a terrible, frightening sound. Then they broke through the glass in the window and fell into the room. The robbers jumped up frightened, and thinking that ghosts had come into their house, ran away into the forest. The delighted four hurried to the table and ate everything they saw until they were full. Then they each looked for a comfortable place to sleep. The donkey lay on some straw outside in the yard. The dog slept inside the house, behind the door. The cat lay down near the warm fireplace, and the rooster flew up to the roof. Very soon they all fell asleep. Later that night, the robbers, who were hiding in the forest, saw there were no lights coming from the house, and that everything was quiet. The leader of the robbers said,
"We should not have run away so quickly. I want one of you to go back and check the house."
So one of the robbers went back. He quietly went into the dark kitchen and picked up a candle. Taking the candle over to the fireplace to get a light, the robber saw the cat's bright eyes. By mistake, he thought they were burning coals. When he put the candle up to the cat's face, the cat jumped at the robber, spitting and scratching. Scared to death, the robber ran to the back door. The dog was lying there. He jumped up and bit the robber's leg. The robber then ran into the yard, where the donkey gave him a strong kick. Up on the roof, the rooster heard the noise and began to crow.
"Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo!"
As fast as he could, the robber ran back to the forest where the other robbers were waiting.
"Oh,
There is a terrible witch in that house, he said. She scratched my face with her long claws. At the door, there was a man who stabbed me in the leg with a knife. Then a terrible monster in the yard hit me with a strong wooden club. Then high up on the roof sat a judge who screamed, "Bring the robber to me! Bring the robber to me!" I ran away as fast as I could. It was the most frightening experience of my life.
After the robbers heard the frightening story, they decided never to go back to the house again. The 4 animal musicians, however, found the house perfect for them, and they lived there happily forevermore.